Hi.
All right, hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. And oh my God, we have a lot to talk about today. I read the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco this past month, and let's just say I knew about 50 pages in to the first book in the series that this was going to need its own dedicated video because I just have so much to say. This is a 5-book series that is nearly 2,500 pages, probably more than that in its entirety, and the entire thing focuses on a relationship between a gymnast and her coach. And there's a lot more to it and we will talk about it, but guys, this series, I just want to say right off the bat, is the most forbidden, taboo thing that I have ever read. Like, as I start to talk about it, if you're not aware what it is, you're probably gonna be like, Nikki, are you okay? And like, the answer is no, always, to that question. But what makes it even worse is that, like, I loved it so much. And like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say that makes it worse, because you know what? I have no shame. I freaking devoured this series. I could not stop reading it. I have not binged a series in the way that I binged this one literally in years. I never anymore like read a series straight through. I always have to take a break at some point. I usually like read the first book and then I'll go back and read the second book in a month, or maybe it'll be 6 months. Like, I basically never read a series back to back, much less a 5-book series where each of the books is like 500 to 600 pages. I just don't do that anymore. But like with this series, I couldn't let it go. I couldn't stop. It's all I was thinking about. Like, this story was just like consuming my mind, and every single book ended with such a cliffhanger. Like, genuinely, it is one continuous story. Like, you could have made this one 3,000 page book and it would have made perfect sense. Like, there is no time jumping really between each of the books. They all pick up exactly where the book before left off, and just the way it was done, it just kept you reading, it kept you on your toes, and it was just so crazy. But yeah, as always guys, I want to give like a sort of spoiler-free synopsis of this book where I just kind of generally tell you what it's about, but don't get too into the nitty-gritty. So if you haven't yet read this series, you know, this will be your chance to decide if you want to read it, and then once you do read it, come back here and watch the rest of this video, because I am going full-blown spoilers off the rails because I just like have to get all my thoughts out about it. But yeah guys, I have so much to say, so let's just get into it. So this story follows a girl named Adriana Rossi. She has been involved in gymnastics her entire life. She's been competing her entire life. It is her greatest passion, and her #1 goal in life is to go to the Olympics. Like, that has always been her goal. It's always been what her sights have been set on, but she's at a point now where the gym that she has been at just isn't gonna get her there. Like, she has reached her peak there. Her coaches are great, but they're not like Olympics level great. She needs to go to a better gym and fully commit to this life because, you know, she's 16. That's pretty old in the gymnastics world. Like, if it's gonna happen for her, it's gonna happen now. So the book starts out with her like having this conversation with her dad about this, and long story short, her father knows a guy, he has a connection, he has a business partner that actually owns a gym. He was an Olympian, he you know, is from Russia, he was a gymnast, he won gold medals in the Olympics back in the day, and now he owns his own gym 1 state over from where they live. So it takes a lot of convincing from Adriana, because she's obviously a 16-year-old child, but she's like, Dad, I want this more than anything in the world. Like, please, like, let me go train with this man. And his name is Coach Kova. So, you know, after convincing him, after going to visit this gym, Adriana meets Coach Kova right away. He does not see it. He doesn't see it for her. He doesn't see the potential in her. They have a very like intense first encounter. He's very grumpy. I mean, he's very blunt, straightforward. Like, he knows what it takes for someone to be a champion, to be an Olympian, and he doesn't think Adriana is cut out for it, but she's determined to show him that she is. So her father signs the contract, signs her life away basically to start training with Kova at this gym, you know, like 8 hours a day. She has tutoring in between, but like her entire life is now going to consist of gymnastics and training with him. She is actually going to be living in an apartment by herself so that she can be right by the gym, focus on training. You know, this is a state away from where her parents live, but if she's going for it, she's got to go for it. So this book and this entire series really follows this journey of Adriana training with Kova and trying to prove herself to him and just like putting her all into gymnastics, and their, you know, tumultuous relationship that again does not get off to a good start. He really has no patience for her and he expects the absolute best. Like, he is so hard on her, you know, pushes her past her limits to every single point. But, you know, as the two spend a lot of time together, some lines start to get crossed, like lines that should not be crossed in a coach-athlete situation, much less a coach-athlete situation when the coach is 32 years old and the athlete is 16. But it obviously happens, it obviously goes there, and when it does, it gets so crazy, so intense. Obviously, this situation is wrong for so many reasons. Like, I mean, she's 16, so like in the state they're in, like that is the age of consent, but like in reality, she's a minor. She's kind of a child. He's a full-blown adult. He is very close friends with her father. He is a business partner of her father. Again, he is her coach. He is her superior. There is a power dynamic there. They're training together all the time at this gym where there's other gymnasts also training, also competing. And on top of all of that, Kova is actually like in a committed relationship. Like, there just couldn't be more forbidden aspects to this story. And obviously the two of them, like when things start happening, it's not like a beautiful love story. Like, this is like a crazy intense, like animalistic attraction between the two of them that neither of them can shake, even though both of them to some extent like wants to and knows that it's so wrong, but like they just cannot control each other and control themselves. It's wild, y'all. It is off the rails. The entire series is just like, there's so much drama. Every time you think that like there couldn't be more than this, like there couldn't be more drama, there couldn't be more twists and turns, more comes. Like, every time you think for 2 seconds, like, okay, like maybe they'll just be happy now. Maybe they'll figure it out. Like, things seem to be coasting for a little bit. No, like something is gonna happen, something is gonna come up, and you're going to be caught off guard. It is crazy. I mean, obviously, like most of the story is about their relationship, but something that I really like, just being like a total sports nerd, is that you see a lot of the sport in this book, in this series. I don't know if Lucia Franco is a gymnast herself or if she just did a shit ton of research, but like, she has to know so much about gymnastics doing this. Like, the way that things are described, it goes so in depth, like in her training, in her competing. And you know, it's easy to like skim over if you're not interested in that, but like, I just found it so fascinating, like seeing the two of them working together, seeing Adriana like compete and improve, and like, you know, sports achievements just like make my eyes water. So there were just a lot of things throughout this series that just like made my heart explode, and then just all of it together, like it was just impossible to put down. Like, there's stuff obviously between Adriana and Kova, but there's also like side stories going on, things with her family, things with like other gymnasts at the gym. Just it's super crazy, super intense. But like, let me just tell you, the spice in this series, this first book in particular, I mean, it's good all throughout, do not get me wrong, but I feel like reading this first book, it was like a cultural awakening. It was like a religious experience. I went through shock. Like, I haven't felt this way reading a spicy book since the first time I read a Penelope Douglas book. Like, this spice was like toe curling, kicking my feet in the air, like biting my fists. What am I reading? Pages and pages and pages, like so descriptive. There is a scene, there are several scenes in this book, but like, I don't know how Miss Lucia does it, but like even the scenes where it's not like full-blown spice, like when it's just getting to the spice, like I don't know how else to say it. Like, my favorite scene in this entire series is not even full-blown, like it's other things happening, and like it had me in a puddle on the floor. Like, I was just like, oh my god, staring at the ceiling for like 15 minutes after I read it, being like, what did I just read? And then I had to just like go back and reread it again, and it's gonna just like stay in my brain for the rest of my life. But yeah, if I've intrigued you at all, if you haven't read this series yet, this is me giving it like my massive stamp of approval. Obviously, this is one of those things where you gotta just throw your common sense, your feminism, just any logic that you might have, any morals, just pull them out of your brain, just put them in a box, set them over here in the corner until you finish this series, and just let yourself enjoy it. Because if you do, you'll have a great time. But like, if you are a sensitive reader, like, I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean. Like, if you are gonna be bothered, like, even just hearing what I'm saying, if it's making you like feel a little icky, you're not gonna be into this. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, I felt a little icky at times too, especially because of just like the such intense age gap, and just knowing, thinking back to like when I was 16, and just knowing now as like a 25-year-old that is like so young. Like when I think of like how naive and stuff I was at 16, I'm like, oh my God. So like, you can't not feel a little bit icky. Don't get me wrong, but like, just be along for the ride. Just let yourself enjoy it, and like, it's going to be a fantastic time. But yes, for real now, like, if you haven't read it yet, spoilers are gonna start here. Please exit, come back once you have read it, because I just wanna like dive a little deeper. Guys, I don't even know where to begin. This series just rocked my world, blew my mind. This first book, like the tension between the two of them, obviously I knew going into it like that they were gonna get together. Something was gonna happen between them. So it's like, you're anticipating it, you're waiting for it, but like, that didn't stop it from hitting just as hard as it did. I mean, that initial sort of scene where things really cross the line, when she falls on the balance beam and Kova is like checking on her, making sure she didn't injure herself anywhere. I was like, my jaw was on the floor. And then moving into the like ballet room scene, that's the scene that I'm talking about, that just like altered my brain chemistry. I love that new, like, how that's a new term, and that's like a new trend of saying that, because like, that's the only way to describe what that scene did to me. Obviously, like, I enjoyed it, the drama, the back and forth, like everything about it, like her and Hayden, and that, you know, upsetting Kova, even though he literally is in a full-blown committed relationship, like all of that, just the drama, you know, having to hide it from the other gymnasts, like thinking the entire time that like Madeline is gonna walk in or Reagan's gonna catch them. Like, I loved the suspense of it. I loved how on the edge of my seat I was. But of course I cannot deny, like, as much as I loved it, both of these characters are like the biggest freaking idiots I've ever met in my life. Like, I want to slap both of them across the face several times, more than several times. I would venture to say 100 times throughout the series. I wanted to slap each of them for just being so stupid. Like, the amount of times that they almost crossed a line, like in public or just in the gym, like feet away from where other people could see them or hear them. Just like, are y'all insane? Like, at the end of the first book, when Hayden walked in on them, I'm like, yeah, what did you expect? Like, you're literally having full-blown intercourse in your office. Like, why with the door unlocked? Like, you silly little goose. Of course someone's gonna walk in. And I can't believe that didn't happen more times, to be honest. So like, that alone, I'm like, you're dumb. But like, one thing I just have to touch on, because it's just so ridiculous, is the amount of, if my parents are watching this, please just exit. Like, I swear we can't be talking about this, but the amount of like unprotected sexual acts that were happening throughout this book for months and months and months, the amount of times this girl was taking Plan B like it was Tic Tacs. Like, you're not supposed to do that. For those of you that aren't aware, that's not really like an effective method. I'm just like, girl, you are 16, you are living on your own. This man is like frequently finishing within you. Maybe we just like go get on the pill. But she like wouldn't do it. And he continues to like, obviously he has like a breeding kink or something. Like, there was something mentally wrong with him that he felt the need to do that. I'm not gonna complain, because like, it was hot. But like, it was just like infuriating me, because I'm like, just get on the pill. Just literally anything. Pull out anything. Really just like getting into the fine print here, the fine details. But that was just one thing that was just like so frustrating because it was just so easily preventable, you know. And then obviously we know what ended up resulting of those repeated offenses. And then of course we're so shocked when that happens and we just cannot believe it. There's no possible way that I could be pregnant even though I've had unprotected intercourse. I don't like the word sex, I'm very sorry. Intercourse like 500 times in the last 6 months. But anyways, that was just like a very silly little thing, of course. Obviously the whole like relationship with Katya, I think that's how you pronounce it. Katya. I mean, Katya was like a raging bitch, but like she kind of deserved to be a raging bitch considering her man was like cheating on her with a child. So like I don't really blame her for hating Adriana. Like honestly, as she should, but you know, their entire relationship, obviously, like as we learned, was toxic, was not really a loving relationship. She obviously wanted to be there, wanted her visa, wanted her citizenship. They were there for each other, you know, in a time in their lives where they needed each other, but now they're adults, they've outgrown each other. Like that situation was rough. Him getting married and not telling her, that whole thing was just crazy. The like prosty like over and over, that whole scene, that really broke me. That really hurt me. That got my feelings hurt real bad. I'm just like, so many things happen that I'm like I feel like I'm bound to forget something because I just want to talk about all of it. I'm just gonna jump ship over to the knife scene real quick because like, oh my God. Also, by the way, for those of you that did not realize this, my friend Morgan, which by the way is the person that like recommended the series to me, I had known about the series for so long, but refused to read it because there's people on the cover and like, that's a problem. That's a personal problem of mine. I cannot read books with people on the cover, but obviously I'm glad I did. Anyways, she pointed out to me that on the 4th book's cover, I cannot for the life of me remember the name of each of the books besides Balance, Execution, Twist, Dismount, can't even remember. The 4th book, whatever it was, I didn't even notice that he has the A that she carved into his chest, like on the book cover. Like you can see it and it's so subtle. Like if you didn't know to look for it, you wouldn't know it's there. But my friend Morgan, after I texted her to be like, oh my God, the knife scene, what the fuck did I just read? She was like, Nikki, did you look at the cover? And I'm like, no, let me look. And I couldn't see it in the dim light of my Kindle. And then I was like, oh my God, it's there. Also the little detail of like him having the wedding ring on and the covers, like after he gets married. I just live for stuff like that. I love subtle little things like that you never would have noticed. And like, if you don't know, you don't know. I just thought it was very well done. Obviously like this whole thing leads up to her like getting to the Olympics. Obviously her father finds out. That was so hard to read. You know, that situation just sucked. Like he couldn't have found out in a worse possible way. I didn't really like his reaction, but also, I mean, obviously what's his reaction gonna be? What I took issue with was like him blaming her for it and like calling her really nasty names that he previously would not allow other people to call her, you know, throwing her across the room. Like that was like a bit much for me. Didn't really like that, but obviously I don't blame him for being like sickened with his friend that he trusted to look after her, take care of her, be her coach, that he's been giving so much money to be her coach, that he has been like, you know, fraternizing with his little girl. Like obviously that's pretty rough. So I don't really blame him. I do want to say, again, off the rails, this is all over the place. Her whole like sickness situation, I got so much anxiety about that being added to the story. I don't know why I didn't see it coming. Like obviously in hindsight, it was really obvious because she constantly was mentioning that like she was in pain and not doing well and like neglecting her health and never going to the doctor. So it's like, it kind of made sense that like something was going to happen, but I don't know why like that wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. And once it was like revealed, I think it was after book 3, I was so stressed to go into book 4 because like, I just feel like that's like my biggest fear in life in a lot of ways, is like, you know, not being able to reach my life goals because something keeps me from doing that, something out of my control, something like a sickness, like cancer, like just dying before like my time is up and not being able to like do all the things that I want to do. So like her being inches away from going to the Olympics and finding out that she has this like disease, that she has lupus, that she has kidney disease, that she needs to like, that her body like cannot handle this stress. Like the thought that they were trying to tell her to like stop competing when she was so close, like it was like making me cry angry tears. I was so angry for her. Like I just couldn't imagine if that was me, like as stupid as she was being, as much as she was like not listening to her doctors and being like, I'm not starting dialysis, like we just gotta wait a few months. I think it would have been me too. Like it sounds so dumb and so stupid and so like wasteful. It's like, this is gymnastics, it's a sport, this is your life. Maybe we like focus on that. I think I would have done the exact same thing as her, to be honest. So call me crazy, but I'm very glad that she was able to like push through it. I do think it was funny that, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I didn't like want her to die or anything. Like I kind of thought, I was like, is this the direction it's gonna go in? Is she gonna like win the Olympics and then like die? Like I just wasn't sure. I'm obviously glad she didn't die, but I also think it was a little funny how the disease and whatnot seemed to like be kind of a non-issue towards the end of the book. It just was like, okay, she went off to college and she got her kidney replacement and she just went on with her life, and now they have like 5 fucking kids together, which was a lot. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, in the end, I was a little bit indifferent about that. I didn't expect that to be a part of the story, and then it was such a big part of the story. And then you obviously knew like when Kova found out, he was gonna be devastated, and whenever he was like so happy that Avery was giving her the kidney, I was like, oh my God, my heart. Okay, Avery, while we're on that subject, I don't know why, but like the relationship between Avery and Adriana was like a bit of a thing for me. When the book first started, I damn near was like, I don't think this is gonna be for me, just because of like the dialogue between the two of them. It was like a little cringy and immature for me. Like everything else about this book is written so, in this series is like written so well, but I don't know why I found the dialogue and like everything about Adriana and Avery's relationship to be so like childish and like hard to read and awkward. Like I just thought it was weird, and I don't know if that was like on purpose to like remind us that she at the end of the day is a teenager, but like her constantly being like, oh my God, my bestie, my BFFFL, what is my BFF doing? Bestie, how dare you? Like I miss you so much. Like that's how I read their dialogue, and I was like, every time like Avery was mentioned on a page, I was like skimming. But then obviously it became like a whole big thing between her and Adriana's brother, Xavier. Like frankly, I did not care about that at all. Like when that got brought up, and then her being like, oh, by the way, like I got pregnant with your brother, and then like I had an abortion, and then like, oh, Adriana, you're pregnant now too, and you also like had miscarriage like I did, and all this. Like I just thought, I was like, that was like a lot. Like that was just kind of like thrown in there, a whole side story. Also this like whole thing with her mom not being her mom and there being an actual mom, like that was just like a lot. I don't know, but specifically the Avery Xavier story, maybe I just didn't have a place in this. Maybe I was just so focused on Kova and Rhea, and that's like all I wanted to read, that I just didn't care. But every time that came up, I was just like, oh my God, I don't care. But apparently it's gonna be its own book. I heard that through the grapevine that I guess Lucia Franco is writing a book about that. So I don't know, like if you asked me today, I wouldn't read that. Like I don't care to read that, but maybe if it's its own story and that's what you're focusing on, it would be a lot better. I mean, I love a forbidden romance, obviously. Like the best friend's brother thing is kind of scandalous. So I don't know how she's gonna frame that, but maybe it'll be good. I don't know. But I mean, yeah, I think it was good. I liked how it ended, honestly. I really liked that it was realistic. I think that I might be in the minority here. I think a lot of people really just love like a happy ending, like butterflies and rainbows. It all just like wraps up. I kind of like endings like this series where they went their separate ways, you know? They didn't just live happily ever after. Like they had to separate to kind of grow up and grow and find themselves before they could come back together, because that's the only thing that made sense. I mean, she was a child, like she's like 18. Kova is like 34 by the time the series ends, and it's like she needs a couple of years to like have a life and be on her own, and for you to not like groom the fuck out of her every 5 seconds and like see if she still wants you. I mean, realistically, it wasn't that much time. Probably should have like had them reconnect when she was like 25, but I'll take what I can get. Clearly these two were not going to be apart from one another, and like they were going to be together. So I mean, it was bound to happen. I don't think there was like a different way I would have ended it. Him finally just like showing up at the door just kind of like made my heart, like I was like, oh, so cute. And then I don't know, I'm kind of weird about epilogues in general. A lot of the times I know it's like a hot take, I kind of like skim over and skip through epilogues because I'm just like, yeah, whatever, like they're together. I don't need to hear about the children and the marriage and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, them like going back to the gym and Kova working at the gym after selling it, Madeline and the other guy, Danilo, like bringing him back and him being like, yeah, I'll come back under one condition. Like Adriana comes back too. By the way, we're married. Remember my gymnast that you also coached when she was a literal teenager? Yeah, we're married now and she's pregnant with my child. All good, right? The fact that he was like, yeah, they thought it was weird at first, but then like they accepted it. I was just like, okay, that's a little crazy, just a little crazy. The entire book, like I didn't want it to happen, but I also like kind of really wanted Madeline to walk in on them. Like I wanted to see what her reaction to the whole thing was gonna be, because I was like convinced that was gonna be nuts. And I thought it was really foreshadowed because like in the first book, whenever she almost walked in on them, whenever she was like, why is the office door locked? Like, why is this locked? I thought because that happened that she was for sure gonna like catch them in the act. But yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's all I have to say. I mean, again, overall, like I freaking devoured this series. I enjoyed it so much. The spice was insane, so good. There was obviously so many ups and downs, so much drama, so many twists and turns. The relationship was so toxic, so messed up. Not something you should like want in your life or aspire to have. But as far as something to read, something for entertainment, like this was incredible and I loved it, and I totally would recommend it to anybody that's into a forbidden, taboo, spicy romance, because like I'm not sure you can get much more of those things than with this. But yeah, guys, if you've read this series, which I hope you have, if you've come this far, or I'm gonna be very upset with you for letting yourself be spoiled, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought. If you have any other books that like are similar to this, similar vibes, any other Lucia Franco books you think I have to read. I know Hush Hush is a big one, but other than that, I'm not really aware of her other books. Let me know and I'll add them to my list. But yeah, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.